What's up, you guys? Are you in the middle of trying to decide whether or not a new build is better for you, or if it's better for you and your family to purchase a home that's already built from a previous owner? Trying to weigh the pros and cons and see what's best? If that's you, then this is the video for you. Stay tuned. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, Tiffany Tiana. If you're new here, I post home related content, so home decor, organization, renovation. We purchased our dream home, so we are furnishing all 5,000 square foot of it. So if you want to come along for that journey and see how I decorate, renovate, and organize the space, definitely subscribe. If you're a return viewer, thank you for coming back. So I wanted to do this video because some people have asked for it and thought it would be useful, but also my husband and I, we've been through both processes. So we've built a new home and we've also purchased a home that's already been built from a previous owner. So I'm in the position to kind of give the pros and cons of each. So hopefully this information will help you decide which one is best for you and maybe things that you have not yet considered in making that decision. So let's get into it. I wrote down some notes because I want to kind of make sure that I don't miss anything. So if you see me look down or pick up something, that's what I'm looking at. This is the first sit down video on the channel. So let me know what y'all think and if y'all want more of these and what topics you want me to cover. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first of all, the really obvious one is timing. So when you have a new build construction home, it takes time to build it. So if you don't have that kind of time and you really need to get into a place quickly, or you just impatient, then the new build process is not for you. It could take 9 months, it can take 12 months. There are sometimes delays in the building process. So you have to be really flexible and know that sometimes there might be delays. And if you don't have a scenario where you can be flexible with your family's home predicament, then maybe the new build route isn't the best for you at the moment, and you should just go ahead and purchase something that's already built. Because in that case, you kind of know what to expect. You have to wait for your closing. There might be delays in closing potentially, but it's not like you're going to be waiting a year out to be able to get into your home. So definitely timing is the first thing I would make a decision on. The next thing is price. So there's a lot to consider here with the pros and cons. Depending on the market, you may or may not be able to get a deal on a new build or previously built home. That's all with market fluctuations. Like right now, it's a seller's market, so everything's expensive. I don't care if you're building, I don't care if you're purchasing, you're gonna spend some money. But generally speaking, with a new build, things that you might want to consider is the base price that you see on the website or the brochures is not the price you're gonna pay. So one thing is, a lot of builders, they tack on what they call a lot premium. So if you want a premium lot or a well sought out lot, then you might have a lot premium. Those lot premiums can range anywhere between $5,000 and like $20,000, sometimes even more. So it's very important to look into that and decide if you want to go with that builder. So some builders I've even found recently, they have a lot premium no matter what your lot is. So of course the lot premium will be less money if it's just a regular lot, and then more money with the more sought out lots, but you're not getting out of not doing a lot premium in some cases. So research your builder, make sure you really look at all the small writing, all the details, and tack that on to the cost of the home. The second thing, everyone is going to pay something in upgrades. So of course, if you have a high-end builder that has a lot of those included in the base price, you may not pay as much for upgrades. Or if you have just a very minimal aesthetic and you don't really need much and not very flashy, or you want to just deal with the builder grade options, you may not pay as much, but everyone's going to pay something on top of that base price, because when you go in those model homes, everything included in there, not just cosmetic, but also structural, is not included in the base cost. So you might say, oh, I like that this had a home office. Structural cost, structural upgrade. Oh, I don't like these builder lights or pendant options. Upgrade cost. So they should be very clear in their brochure or in their paperwork on their website what's included in the base cost and what's an upgrade. And if they're not clear on that, make sure you ask those questions when you're doing your walkthrough and before you make your decision. You don't want to be caught off guard with paying much more than you anticipated. But generally speaking, what I've heard from working with prior real estate agents is tack on about 15 and maybe 25-30% on top of the base price, and that'll give you a general ballpark of what you might end up spending in upgrades. Of course, depending on your style, it can be a little less or a little more, but tack on that for upgrades for your planning purposes. Also, every single thing adds to the cost in the new build, like every cabinet pull, every doorknob, everything. Keep that in mind. Whereas on the flip side, if you purchase a property that's already been built from a previous owner, you kind of know what you're gonna pay. They have the sales price, and of course you might offer more and have to pay that, but you're gonna generally know what you're gonna pay once your contract is accepted going into closing. And of course you have to tack on your closing fees and stuff like that, but that's a whole nother conversation. That's gonna be there regardless of whether or not you go the new build route or the previous build route. The next thing, and it could be a pro and a con to this, is for new build properties, in most cases, for every few houses they sell, they raise that base price. So if you want to look at it with glass half full, the pro is if you get in really early, you can have built-in equity in your home. So if you get in really early and you're like one of the first few to get one built, and in every few houses they're raising the base price, you have equity. So that was amazing when we built. On the flip side, if you don't get in too early, you have to know that it's going to keep increasing with every few houses sold. And this can literally be as small as every 3 houses sold. In some cases, they're raising the base price. So just keep that in mind. It could be a pro and a con depending on when you get in. Okay, so next is construction. So for the new build side, this is a huge con. You have to pack your patience, because especially if you're in there in the beginning of it, where you have built-in equity, but you have to do it a lot of constructions. Your neighbors want their homes built too, you know? So it's going to be a lot of loud noises, a lot of construction zones happening for like the first year, sometimes 2 years of you living there. And so you just have to get used to that. Also, if it's a new development, then you might have a lot that changes around you. So you might build your home and you just love the view outside your back door or in your front yard, and then they go build something there. So just make sure that you are prepared for that, and that you're really knowledgeable about the builder development plans, so that you can know, okay, maybe let me not pick this lot because they plan on putting another house right in, close to my backyard, and I really want a view. So keep that in mind, but also keep in mind the city development plans as well, and see further down the line, if this is an up and coming community with a lot of new developments, do they plan on putting a gas station here, or a shopping center here, or a data center here? So just be really knowledgeable about how it can change. Related to that is the lawn development in the yard. If you're in a new build, you're gonna have to go through the ugly development phase for your yard. Like you're not gonna have the lush greenery that you're gonna have in an already built pre-existing home, where your grass looks nice, and your trees are mature, and your plants are all out there planted, and you have this nice lawn. No, it's probably gonna look a little cold and just dreary out there, because it needs some time for the plants and the trees to develop and mature. So just keep that in mind. I know that might not be a big deal to some people, but some people, it's a little annoying for them. So just wanted to point that out. Okay, the next thing is to consider when you're doing a new build versus the pre-existing build, is to switch over from builder management to community management, or like an HOA management. It may not seem like a big deal, but a lot can change. So next thing you know, you're switching from builder-led management to it being the community-led, and you have all these new bylaws that are coming up from your HOA that you weren't prepared for, or there are certain things that the builder promised in all their fancy brochures and on their website that never got built. Builders change their mind all the time, y'all. So keep that in mind. There might be something that the builder's promising that never comes to. Keep that in mind with these new communities, new developments. It changes often. It seems like there should be some type of contract in place where it couldn't change, but it does. Like they might say, oh, we're going to build this new community center. It's going to be X, Y, Z, da, 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 da. Ends up changing. They might say, oh, we're only going to put 50 homes. So everyone's going to be able to have a huge lot. And next thing you know, they get greedy. And next thing you know, there's 100 homes or 75 homes going there. And now you got parking issues. Ain't nobody got no yard. Everybody crammed in. So just keep all that in mind. It's a possibility. Another big thing is just the newness of new build. That's one of the huge pros. It's fresh, it's new, it's built based off of your aesthetic. No one's lived there before. all your appliances are new, everything new and fresh. And that's really appealing. That's probably, for me, one of the most appealing things to a new build is I'm the first one that's been up in here. So I would say for the pros and cons, a new build gets it there. But there's a lot to keep in mind there. Sometimes in the base price, some of those appliances aren't there. So you got to buy them. So you won't have your fridge and all that. So you have to tack that onto the cost of things that you have to prepare for and pay for. Another thing is, just because it's new doesn't mean that you won't have to renovate. I have looked at videos of people that's going in their new build homes and they're still renovating because whatever they wanted wasn't available through their builder. So they may wanted certain cabinet pulls or lighting or something structural that just wasn't offered through their builder and they really want it, so they still have to make those upgrades. So just keep that in mind. Another thing, it's all fresh and new, but it's like new, like as in like no window treatment new. So another thing you have to plan for that a lot of people don't think about, all those windows that you have, they're not going to come with treatments. So if you go into a pre-existing home, 9 times out of 10 they're going to come with treatments, or you at least know when you go in there like, okay, I'm going to keep these window treatments, or I'm going to put curtains up. In a new build home, you're going to literally be in a fishbowl until you put some window treatments up. So keep that in mind. Window treatments. A lot of times you're not going to have gates. So if a gate is important to you, you have to tack that onto the cost as well. So you have to get things gated and get your yard together and all that stuff. So keep that in mind when you're doing a new build. One of the pros of getting a home that's already built is you kind of know what you're getting into. Yes, you might have to renovate if something doesn't meet your aesthetic. Like with our home, I'm renovating our kitchen. Can't wait to share that with y'all. That's coming next month. And the kitchen, the structure of it is beautiful. A lot of people walk in my home and they're like, why do you want to renovate it? It looks fine. It looks beautiful. It's not my aesthetic. I want to renovate it. So I knew when I toured this house, I had to tack on some renovation costs. So it's not like you don't have to change anything when you get into a home that's already built. That's one of the cons, where it's not going to be your aesthetic. So if you're going to go into a home that's already built, just know some of the appliances might be outdated. Some of the things may not be to your liking. But you're never going to find a home that's completely 100% everything that you want. So you just kind of figure out, do I have room in my budget to update the flooring, or do I have room in my budget to paint or whatever? So keep that in mind when you are deciding between a new build or not. There might be a lot of renovation to meet your aesthetic needs in a pre-existing home. Another con to a new build is the amount of settlement cracks that you are going to have after the first year living there. So just prepare for that. Thankfully, most of builders, they will come and correct those issues at no cost to you. But the con is, and you don't have to do this, but they recommend that you wait to paint your house until like after a year of being there, so that you don't have to go and repaint after they come back and fix all the settlement cracks. So keep that in mind. Just plan for settlement cracks. Make sure the builder will cover it for you after a year, or whatever their timing is of you being in the home. And then just, it's up to you whether or not you think you'll be able to wait painting or not. Some people paint anyways and just touch up the spots. That's all depending on you, but just something to keep in mind if you're thinking about the new build. You're going to have a lot less of that stuff when you have a pre-existing home. But on the flip side, even though there might not be much settlement cracks in a pre-existing home, there might still be other issues that you're not aware of with appliances, with structure, all that stuff. So just make sure you do a quality inspection, get an inspector come in before you settle on the terms of the house, so that you can get any major things fixed, or at least be aware of them and see if you want to continue forward with purchasing the home. Just 2 more things. It's not really comparison things, but just other tips that I want to leave you with in making your decision about new build or pre-existing home. If you go with a new build, make sure you research your builders. All builders are not equal. Some are more high-end. Some are builders that just give you any type of materials building your home, and you don't want that, So look at their reputation. Look at some videos to see people's feedback on what their experiences was with the builder and all that. So just do your research. And if you do decide to move into a pre-existing home, one thing that I wish we did, even though we painted everything anyways, was ask the previous owner before, while you in that phase of preparing for closing, and you can ask them questions and all that. Ask them what paints they use in the house. even if you plan to change your wall colors. I didn't ask them because I knew I wanted to paint, but I wish I did, because you want to know all the paints that they use on the walls and the trim as well as the finishes. So for example, we painted, these walls are like yellowy tan. We painted all throughout the house, and then this wall, it looks white to the eye, but it's not white. You won't tell until you're putting something white up against it. But the trim, you can't see the trim in this video, but the trim looked like it was white too. So I thought that when I painted my walls a lighter, like what looks to be white, that it was going to match the trim. Turns out when we painted our walls, the trim looked like beige or something. But when we moved in, since the walls are yellow, the trim looked white. So we had to literally put in an extra cost to get all the trim painted, because I didn't like the look of having my wall be a lighter color than my trim. It just didn't look right. It made the trim look dirty. So instead of just getting the wall colored to match the trim, I had to get everything painted because I didn't know what color the previous owners put on the trim. So I didn't know what color to get. And yes, I could have technically gone like scrape some of it off and color match, but I ain't like the color that much anyways. But just make sure that ask what paint colors they have throughout the house, as well as what finishes, because even if you know the paint color and you try to color over it and it's not the right finish, it's not going to look right. I hope this information was useful. Let me know in the comments. Let me know if you are trying to decide between a new build or pre-existing build, or let me know if you did a new build or a pre-existing build, and if you agree or disagree with some of my pros and cons, or it might be something that I forgot to tell the people. Y'all need to tell the people, you know what I'm saying? We gotta have each other's back. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. If you did enjoy the vibe, definitely subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.